bring up my good friend, everybody knows him, the director of the great organization. I'll let him tell you more about it. Rashid Beydoun.
Thank you. Oh, so I'm just going to put this here. There we go. I really don't need a mic. I was I was a theater major at one point, so I've learned how to project, and so mics typically go out on you, and you have to be prepared, right? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rashid Beydoun, and I'm the executive director of the Arab American Civil Rights League, which is a newly founded organization. A lot of people have yet to memorize that whole title, so they're like, yeah, that one group, you know, or my favorite, our acronyms are, ACRL, and so people are like, oh yeah, you're part of that CLR group, and I'm like, no, that's cleaning solution, right? But it's interesting. I've been an ally now. I've been attending all the ally meetings. I love it. I've come to know a lot of you. Some of you have really left an impact on me, and I can't. If I miss a meeting, and I'm so sorry, I missed one of the meetings that I was really looking to be at, but I was out of town. But it means a lot to me because I see people in this room that attend these meetings and have that similar, that same motivation. Oftentimes, you can't find us all in the same room. Usually, you'll find one or two of us. We're the ones that are, on the side saying, "Man, this is messed up," and we're talking smack, right? But we're all in the same room, so I'm talking to my peoples, and to me, I definitely feel an affinity to this group, and so I thank you for allowing me to be here. Today I'm here because of something that I began to really dwell in prior to my appointment of executive director. It was back when I was in college, which wasn't too long ago, and at the time I had heard about this new law that was enacted, the Armor Law, the Armor Act, and we'll talk a little about that. But as I learned more about this new law, I was shocked to find out the struggles that had been endured prior and preceding to this enactment of the law. And next to me, I have two very important people in my lives, Rihab and Ahmed Amr, who are the parents of four, yeah. And whom were affected by the child welfare system. And I'll let them speak a little about this. But, when we look at the struggle for equality, people wonder, like, how does this have to do with civil rights? But we know that there are many flaws, and there are many fights that we are fighting on different fronts, be it from education, that's, huge to me, and our incarceration system. People don't realize there's also a major front when it comes to the child welfare system. And folks, it's not a small percentage. It is a huge disparity. First of all, statistics prove, and I thank you for providing a great presentation. Statistics prove that there is a disproportionate amount of minorities in the child welfare system. And oftentimes these are a cause because of other factors, so poverty, that may not be a race, so to speak, but people who can't afford an attorney or people who can't afford to get the right assistance or counsel often don't get the needed assistance. And so the very institution which was created, right, to help protect, the interest of these children, oftentimes, and I'm not saying all of them, oftentimes tend to be the ones that are perpetuating this ongoing mess that we have. And I'll let the Amers speak shortly, but racial and cultural groups often are the ones that make up these, predominantly make up these child welfare systems. Now, there are also issues that we find when it comes to redress, because CPS, in different states, they have different names. You have, the Department of Human Health Services here versus CPS. And the reporting system, you have a federal, the federal grants that are given to states that report, the child protective services and whatnot, and how those stipends are allocated also is how we get most of our data. But there's a lot of data that we don't get. There's a lot of data from within the foster care system, these temporary stays where children are being removed from their familiar surroundings, where children are being removed, where families are being torn apart, which often, is really the issue at hand. And according to the statistics, these types of things are often also found to have a correlation between, mental health problems that pursue and other various types of issues. What can we do is obviously get informed. Getting informed is key. And like I said, having the Michigan Armor Act, which is also known as House Bill 4118, established essentially when a child is going to enter the child welfare system, that there's order of preference where it would go to the grandparents or sibling or a family member, someone from their family, and then if not that, then they would go to someone of the similar culture, background, ethnic, racial, religious makeup. And having these types of things are very important, these safety nets, because what they do is they allow for that child, who often, his voice goes unheard, to continue to be around that familiar surrounding. And there are many, many cases in which children were just torn apart and severely affected. And when you hear this, my friends over here, you'll really begin to see a glimpse into the struggles that do endure. I myself, I've always asked her time in and time out, and how did you do it? How did you go all those years fighting and fighting? You were acquitted of any wrongdoing. The government, CPS came into the hospital when your daughter was 1 year old and took her directly out of your, one day, and took her directly out of your hands. Where was the justice? What? They removed your parental rights. They stripped your children away from you. They took away their identity. They changed their names. They put them far away. They wouldn't let you speak to them. How are you still on 2 feet? How are you standing? And then furthermore, after all was said and done, after your son was exonerated and taken out of the grave, and she'll talk a little more about this, and scientists and various doctors found that her son had brittle bone disease. How was it that you didn't get your children back? How is it that judges were boggled as to how your children were taken without any court order, without any, where was the due process here? Where is the due process? And that didn't stop her. Even having been reunited with her children, although 2 of them don't speak to her, one of them is still confused and hurt. A lot of them are hurt. She continued to fight. And she said, because this isn't about me, this is about a bigger cause. There are children out there that are constantly being affected. And she started up writing a piece of legislation. Now, she really didn't know what she was writing, but she knew that she had to do something. She started getting signatures. She started knocking on doors. This one lady kept going and going and going. And on December 14th, 2010, the Armor Act was was, enacted. And so I applaud her, and honestly, I think we all should applaud her, for this, because this is truly a momentous thing, to say the least. But she didn't stop there. Even after all was said and done, she said, no. I get phone calls from Philadelphia, from New Jersey, of parents who read up on the Armor Act and was like, how can I do something? A similar issue happened with me all across this nation. And again, who is it that's doing it? It's the minorities. It's blacks, it is Latinos, it is, Arabs, it is the minority groups who often go unrepresented, right? They're more in those impoverished communities. And so she has been this beacon. She's been attending court cases. Anyone who calls her, she'll show up and tell them, hey, you have rights. You have rights, dang it. And they can't just take your children away. It wasn't just about herself. And so I know I've gotten all passionate up here, and but before I do, step aside, we were able to get our dean of the Congressional Black Caucus, our beloved Congressman John Conyers, to introduce a law that was under the supervision of the Armour family, and very similar to the Armor Act in Michigan. They were able to introduce, it just was introduced June the 28th, 2012, and I see Yvonne back there, staff member. And they were able to establish this because, the dialogue is happening. It's a small group that's out there that's very vocal, and we're going against some big interest. And my brother over here, Mr. Ford, said it himself. There's something fishy going on. When they privatize these types of things, just like they're privatizing the criminal justice system, folks, or the school system, what occurs? You have a lot of those, loopholes and whatnot. So, you have to be informed, and we ask that you please, get some more information. Please write to your congressman. That's key, really, and tell them that we support this because it affects all of us. I always end with a quote of some sort, and I always tell people the youth and the children are half of the present and all the future.